So um, so I'm going to maybe I can show all this live demo because of the time limitation, but I can show you a snapshot because I'm going to show actual this application in my code base, and then what can do. So actually, that you can see that even this content-based image retire for the eye disease chest X-ray, I can show you a live demo, but maybe because I'm going to, in relation to the AI and blockchain components, I'm going to show in the second part. So maybe the live demo will be shown later, but I can show you the snapshot of how I can apply this kind of the computer vision technology to the disease diagnostics. And then natural language processing generation that I can show the like a text classification, compression, and question answer, and then also like a movie recommender. So you can see the like you visit like Netflix, then they recommend what kind of the movie you maybe would like to see. And then I can, here is like a Facebook chatbot. I tried it, so it's reasonably they can to talk with you. This is the Facebook technology, and in the mostly I'm working on in the finance area. That I'm going to another webinar next week about next month about some financial investment and recent topic about some environmental issues, the sustainability issues. So I'm going to apply AI and blockchain to the area is the finance. So you can see that like all like a credit card, the stock prediction, and then trading, and then you can learn in the finance analysis. So this is the area you can see now. So I'm going to show very briefly about this part through my code base. So recently Google developed this Google Core Laboratory. So without your computing power, actually they provide a GPU, so you can even do some your AI experiment in here. So for example, computer vision that I show that for example that okay, so here is a disease that it did take us some time. So I'm not going to show you the actually learn this program. I actually learned this program a few days ago. So basically what they're doing is that we need to provide the data, and then we need to provide a model, the algorithm to analyze the data. And then finally we interpret. So what we're doing is they train this AI through the data set we developed. So they train this AI that what kind of the eye disease there is. So they provide two type of the data. So one is a normal and the other is has eye disease. And then they learn about which image will be corresponded to the normal and then corresponded to the disease. And then nicely figure out that train this, and then after that they nicely figure out that if you put in some test, and then they can figure out that whether there is a normal or the disease one. So they uh, clearly figure out this is the one actually I showed that in the computer application, the most advanced part is a medical area. So this was one example. And another example is I show that the image search. So actually that they can figure out the similar image. So technically is the same thing. So provide the data, so provide the image data, and then they train them, and then they to figure out what kind of image features, what kind of characteristics the image has, each individual image has, and they learn that the pattern. And then if you put some new image, and then they will give you the most similar image in the length one. So if you provide this one, and then this is a core image, and then they provide a similar one. So this is idea that if you provide the airplane, then they provide a similar image through the similarity measure. So this is the one area you can apply. And in the natural language processing area, maybe I can show you just one, maybe which one maybe I can show. Okay, so for example, the sentence completion is that, for example, here you can learn this. This is the one actually you provide like, for example, that you provide the Harvard University located in, and then AI will fill out the last part. So for example, that they provide like located in Boston, so first one is the most like high length one. So this is one actually that they can fill out the last sentence. This is the one example that you can apply in natural language processing area. And then text classification area actually, for example, that if you provide some like a smartphone is too heavy to carry around all day, and then they say that like what kind of this status means to your feeling, and then they provide, oh, this is a negative feeling. This statement said like a negative viewpoint of yours, so they can figure out what your viewpoint. So this is another example. And then chatbot is, I think this is really, I also developed a lot of chatbot project, and then I found that this is very realistic. I tested it, and then for example, I provided try to some communicate with chatbot. For example, that I did like I said, who are you? And then what is your name? And then he said, my name is Susan. This is from chatbot. I work at a Amazon warehouse. How about you? So he asked me, so I'm Alex. How old are you? And then nice to meet you. And then what do you do for? So sometimes actually that he didn't answer correctly, but he tried to answer something and then try to communicate. So, and then, so for example, that sorry, could not process the message, please try again. So if this chatbot doesn't understand, and ask it again. And then what is your favorite book and something like that. I'm a tank. I like tank. So it's like mine is tank history, and I've never heard about one. So he maybe never trained about the tank. So anyway, so this is a little reasonable one. This is open source, so you can download and then you can try it. So this is one, and then I think the most the up-to-date chatbot technology you can apply. And then financial area. This is one actually I did a lot of intensive work. So for example, that in the financial area, there are several ways you can do some in finance. Like for example, you want to expect, you want to predict what kind of the future, like a stock price, and then you have a data set like what the stock price. So this is an open data set. You can find out like a Yahoo Finance, whatever. And then using that area that we call, there is a time series data, and then AI can analyze this time series data and then predict what will be the future stock price. So actually I load this code, and then for example, then this is one actually that this is a Bitcoin price. Actually, that recently Bitcoin is a hot issue. So actually, it trained it like so what I'm doing is like 1 days after is truth, and then try this train this AI to predict the 1 day after the value of the stock price, and then trying that actually you put it arbitrary data, and then they try to follow this is the actual the stock price, and this is the one actually expected price that your prediction. So quite similar. So this is one you can do in AI. And another application is you can trade automatically. So recently there is a algorithmic trade, automatic algorithmic trading. So you can do, let actually the AI can trade your stock or the Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. So this is the one actually the well-known reinforcement learning. So what this algorithm doing is that you provide the incentive that you have your initial money, and then try to incentive to AI that if they have a through the buy sell hold the process, they earn or money, and then they provide the incentive. So this is the one simulate that. So actually try to find optimize what is the best like a investment, like and then provide give you the best return. So this is the one actually you can apply AI in the stock trade simulation, doing that. So I think that's it that I want to show you now. This is the one actually I developed that I show you that you see that like I did is like you can classify through the traditional deep learning, but actually what it's doing is actually is more than that. I will show you if I have time in the live demo that I can learn in my computer. So what it's doing is actually you diagnose some disease, eye disease, and you put in the database. Actually, we also developed the database technology. It's a big data. So for example, you can store the hundred of millions of data in here, and then you can divide by small part. And then what you're doing is that if you click some part, and then they will give you the most similar part. So what they're doing is that like if you have a database, and then you have like in the emergency situation, you have your patient, and then you don't have time to look at it or diagnose, like you need to take a x-ray, you can take the like a MRI or whatever, CT. It has no time. Then the quickest way is that you have a database, and then you take a picture, and then find out the most similar situation, and then you can figure out what kind of diagnosis and what kind of treatment you need to do. And this is the same thing like recently COVID-19, that you have an X-ray, that you have X-ray data, and then they can figure out what kind of X-ray data is a similar one. So if you have X-ray data, and then figure out the unknown disease, and from the previous history that they will give you the most similar X-ray image, and then they can figure out. Okay, so that's it.